In this tutorial, we're going to look at putting human features on inanimate objects like pieces of fruit. In particular, in this lesson, it'll be apples. And again, based on the work of Yasamasa Morimura, we'll just look at his work here, where he's put his face onto the apples and oranges in the Cezanne still life. We're going to play around with just a part of this idea, but putting human features on. For instance, the apple with jaws. There we go. There's that one. Or we can have apple with fangs. Now, it's quite simple to do. You see, it's the same apple. I've just had to invert it so it went different directions to suit the different fangs and the look. So if we look at the PSD files, the Photoshop files, we can see the apple with jaws here. Only two layers. First layer is the jaws, and we've made sure it's all black around there. And just put the apple over the top, we've carefully sized it, and then just use the eraser tool to take away the bits we need to take away, as you can see there. And we create the biting apple. The other one is a very similar technique. This one here, as you can see, there's the fangs over there. It's a fangs picture. So you'll see I've had to play around with that. The other one had the teeth, which I just flipped around. I got those off the internet. So there's the fangs. So if you look at the apple with fangs here, same idea. I've got rid of everything around the fangs that I didn't need and filled it with white. Then put the apple over the top and using the eraser tool, taken away what I needed so the fangs showed through. So not incredibly hard to do, but you've just got to think carefully about what you're doing, and you've got to be prepared to experiment a little bit. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to do a little work here. I've got these three apples. So we open this three apples picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some eyes in the middle of this, some scared eyes, and fangs either side to create a little artwork. Now I had a bit of trouble getting the eyes. It wanted me to subscribe to most of the sites that had the copyright-free images on it. So what I've just done is I've just screenshotted one of them. I don't need super high resolution, so the screenshot's fine. So I'm just going to drag it in and drop it. So there's my eyes. Just want to make this a bit bigger, and I'll use my navigator to zoom in. And I'm just going to make these smaller so it sits in quite nicely. I think that's about right. I might just move it up in the head a little bit. Now, I want to use the eraser tool. So there's my eraser tool. I've got to put it here. Now you see it's got that circle with the cross in the middle. That means I can't edit this yet because it hasn't been rasterized. So I could right click over here to rasterize it, or I just click on it with the eraser tool, and this says that it must be rasterized before proceeding. Rasterize the object. Okay. And automatically done, as you can see down here now. You can see the image. So I'm going to my opacity 4:5, so there's my brush. I'm going to make my brush fairly big to start with because I want to have this fade off at the edge to blur it in with. So I use the soft round brush. So there's the two choices there, soft round, hard round, and so on. That's what we want for this. And I'm just going to carefully, making sure I'm on the correct layer, start deleting bits that I don't need. Don't go too over the top. I want the eyebrows as well to start with. So that's starting to work. Let me zoom right in. I really don't want to see all this stuff around the edges. I'm going to be very careful getting into this. See, I'm going down here, it's starting to blend in nicely. Now, what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to change the opacity of my tool down to about 30%. In my brush size, it needs to be smaller now. Bigger than that. That'll do. And I'm going to start carefully blending in. I want to sort of mix it, so by not taking everything away, we can see some of the face lines. The key things are important around the eyes, but it looks like the skin is covered with the apple. That's really important for up around in the eyebrows. And the edge here. So I can still see some of those lines around the eyes. Blur it in a bit. See, just wander around with here, go through here a bit more. You really don't want to see much skin through there around the eyebrows. I want them to look like they're totally growing on the apple. So by just taking away a small amount of the skin so it blends in, it shows the apple through. I get away with that look. You can be a lot more careful than I am too. I'm just trying to get this fairly quickly for this tutorial and give you an idea of what I'm doing. So there it is. I'm going to zoom down there. And there's my scared looking eyes on my apple. Cool. So now I'm going to start. Happy with that. I'm going to start with my teeth. What I might do, always a good idea, I'm going to save my work. And I'm just going to call it 3 apples. Just leave it to my folder. That way, if something happens, I'm halfway through the tutorial or something goes wrong, I've still got my work. So, I'm going to get the fangs. Now I've got to decide whether I'm going to use the teeth or the fangs or both. Now in this case, I think I might use both. So I'm going to get the teeth. There they are, they're massive, aren't they? Now, this one might require a little bit more fiddling than the last one. So here's a bigger one I'm making. It looks like it's a pretty good size. Now, I'm going to try and get rid of all this black. So if I use my object selection tool, it's a great tool. I'm going to go around here. Excellent. Now, what I can do, if I can copy it, I'm going to hit delete. What have I got to do? I'm going to make it editable. Right click. Use the other way, rasterize the layer. Now, Command C. Let's delete that. I'm going to turn that layer off. I want to get rid of the marching hands, Command V. But if I hit Command V, paste, there's my teeth. And drag them into position here. Now, what I've got to think about here is that I might need to rotate a bit. I'm going to have to cut out a bit of this apple, aren't I? So I'm going to go Image Rotation and Image Adjustments. No, Edit. So hit Transform, Rotate. Because I just want to carefully move it over here, get him into position. That looks about right. Get that. Now I've got to get rid of this bit underneath here. So what I'm going to do, a new tool for you, is the clone stamp tool. The clone stamp is there. So I'm going to go to my background. I'm going to click just here. So click. And now I can paint over my background. Might go back to there again. So I want it to be white. I'm going to put it up here. Option click, bring it down here. Now, what I'm going to do next is I want to blend this in. I don't want this sharp edge. So I go back in here. I go to my layer 1 up here. Just check it. Yep, that's it. I'm going to use my eraser tool. I'm going to make it a bit bigger because I don't want it to. A bit less. I'm going to carefully go around the edge just to blend it in. So it'll start showing the other. You can see, look at that, she's blending in nicely there. All that bit there that's showing. Now I need to use a sharp edge tool, so a hard round, and I need to have no opacity showing. So I'm going to very carefully tidy up that edge there. Tidy up very. Oh, I can't do that on the background, can I? I need to tidy up this in the background, so I'm going to use my clone stamp again. There's my clone stamp. There it is. Just put it here. Option click. And what I want to do, go to my background. That's it. Option click on my background. Sorry. I'll do that up there. There we go. So there's one apple getting tacked. Look at that. It's going to go file. I'm going to go save. So I don't want to lose my work. Now I'm going to go get my other one. So remember, what was my other? I'm going to get the fangs. I'm going to get these big fangs, which I'm going to have to shrink down dramatically to get the right size. I'm going to have to place them. Now I'm going to have to flip them the other way. So I'm going to go form. I'm going to go flip horizontal. There, that's looking better. Now I'm going to get in. I'm going to use the eraser tool to get rid of everything I don't want on my fangs, and have it sitting on my apple. I'll just move them up the top. Now again, I've got to rasterize the layer. Do it this way or just click the eraser, it doesn't really matter. Now, in this case, I might need to use a sharp edge for a while. Let's have a look. So, it's my eraser tool. Yep, it's all normal. So, just to make things a bit quicker here. Don't want there. All this stuff in here that we don't want. Now, there, around the bottom. Now, I've done that. I need to get my positioning right. Now, I want to rotate that. I'm going to go edit transform. I'm going to hit rotate. I need to move it around a bit more. I want to do more that shape. And I also want it to be so it sits in the apple a bit more, because I need it to sit in the edge. So I'll go back to my eraser tool. I'm going to use my soft edge. You're going to go to a soft round. So there's a lot of changing around here. Put the opacity right down again. And I want to soften each of these fangs. Just going to bring it in a bit more. I want to be able to see a bit of the green of the apple through onto the skin. I don't want to be able to see those harsh edges. I might just zoom in a little further here. I'm sure you're getting the idea, but I'll just finish this for the sake of the exercise. Might make that a bit less opaque. Might need to be a little bit more careful erasing around my edge. Perhaps better. Blending it in a bit better. I'm too gentle there. If I'm smart and just use the edge of my soft edge tool, it automatically creates the blur that I need to blend in. Ignore that. And there we go. Almost finished. Got to hide that bit there. I don't want to be able to see those little bits through there. And if I zoom back out, there's my 3 apples. Let's say, and of course it's looking a bit worried in the middle because it's about to get eaten by the other 2. Simple as that. So have a play, create as many different variants as you can, put eyes on the things, onto different bits of fruit, mouths, noses, eyes and mouths. You can combine both and play around to have a big mouth and small eyes. Just explore what you can do with it and create an interesting little piece of work with this. If you want to try to find it like a multiple set of fruit on the one picture and do what I've just done there, that would be a really great extension. But that's our first task, is to get comfortable with adding in those human features onto the different bits of fruit. You could even try animal eyes and animal teeth if you wanted to.